Hi, welcome back to Keep It Dirty, a podcast where my guests share their life living functionally and sustainably and their why behind their experiences navigating through our ever-changing environment. I am your speaker, Leslie Dowling. I am a functional nutrition and lifestyle practitioner, and I would like to introduce today Angela Fairhurst. She is the founder of Geri-Gadgets. Geri-Gadgets empowers aging adults and neurodivergent individuals with safe, washable, durable sensory tools for engagement and therapeutic benefits. So it's a pleasure to have you on Keep It Dirty today. Thank you for taking the time out. How are you?
Good. Thanks for having me, Leslie. I'm so happy to be here.
Well, we did have a little time. We had some great conversation right before we started recording, and I'd love for you to share with people really your perseverance and passion behind what you do and what you were doing prior to coming up with all of these great gadgets
Thank
for
you.
adults.
Thank you. Well, my career prior to becoming a caregiver was as a nonfiction. So that means variety, music specials, award shows, producer. So I was an executive charge of production in television for a long time. My mom got dementia. She was actually misdiagnosed with Alzheimer's when she had Lewy body. So that brought on a whole lot of other difficulties that were unexpected. She was medicated for antipsychotics. She was given antipsychotics for hallucinations. And those all presented different side effects. So she had 7 different hospitalizations, and the last one was near death. It was so bad. She had lost 17 pounds in 3 weeks and was 2 liters short of fluid. I mean, I was going all the time and visiting her and crying when I left because I couldn't handle oh my God, the road it was on. What happened then is that she survived that last hospitalization, and we changed her from a big Hollywood type care home into a smaller place that was really more suitable for her. And at that time, I saw her sensory need. I didn't know what to do. And I saw her rubbing shiny magazine paper with her fingers, rolling it. Yeah, and she was still struggling to communicate. Lewy body takes away the communication before it even takes away the memory. So I see that happening to her, and I see how frustrated she is. She's kicking and even biting because she's so scared. And I'm thinking, oh my God, she was home for 4 years with 24-hour care. She went in to a care home community because she was so dangerous. She would fall, get up to fall. That's one of the Lewy body things about the blood pressure dropping. It was awful. And she'd be found in the garage. So she needed 36 hours of care in 24 hours. It wasn't even safe to have her home. So I was worried she was going to get kicked out of this other place. And desperately, I started to bring children's toys when I saw that sensory need. And the things at the children's department, I found either too babyish, too complicated, toxic when mouthed, and definitely not washable. So I was in search for something that was sustainable, that was going to be safe for her, because a crayon became lipstick. So the first toy was literally one of those buckets that had the holes, the shapes, and she put those in her mouth to drink. And so that was funny. So that's where the bucket idea came to pass. But she also had a clenched hand. And I was determined to find something that would help her with that hand. And like I said, things were mostly toxic. The fidget items that are out there that are cheap, there's goo inside. So she'd pull on something and the goo would come out and it'd become dangerous. All that sort of stuff was awful. There's a lot of things for babies, but you don't find much for anybody, honestly, toddler on. It gets kindergarten on. And so what I finally found was in my own kitchen, silicone, medical grade silicone. So I actually had a pot holder, and we all have a Silpat for baking and the stirrers. Silicone became a thing. So I took one of the pot holders that was square. I cut it down to about this size. I brought it to her and she's like this, loved it, crunched. And I'm like, she loved the sound, crunched like a taco. And then we threw it back and forth like a Frisbee. And that was my moment of, oh my God, she was laughing. She was so excited. This is the first time I connected with my mom in 4 years. It was beautiful. And that's when I was like, oh my God, I'm on a mission. This medical grade silicone is it. So that's where the bucket came to pass. That's why I have I have three separate, we call them buckets, but they're kits. So they're complete. I got patented. But this has click chain, tugger. All these things are really good for exercising the hands and arms in the fidget gadget bucket so that you don't have to be left-handed or right-handed. Two people can also play with this one. This is safe. It's not going to go over the head. This is called the click chain. And it's also very sturdy, so it doesn't pull apart. Popper, that the triangle shape is the part that's unusual. We know what a popper does, but everybody likes. This was really good for the hands and arms. I have the squishy egg.
That's cool. Yeah.
Inside this I say is the Goldilocks. It's not too big, not too small, not too soft, not too hard. So that's really good for answering it. And then of course the mat, we call it. And that comes in the teal blue bucket. These are all colorful, made for the aging eye. But respectful. They're not primary colors. You don't see them babyish. And then I love the orange bucket. It has shapes inside. And I was inspired by Tetris. It's a little bit of, I really was. So they're Tetris shapes and they're all colorful and they have the stars on the one side. The stars are in the head for my logo because it's about failure-free, open creativity. You're only limited by what you your own limitations. And believe me, people with dementia and cognitive decline and all that stuff and neurodivergence love to just be creative. They've come up with some things. So these have pieces that fit together. They can stand. You can build any structure. They're very durable, everything's so washable and pretty fun. So it's endless possibilities of building and playing with these. And this actually does really well multi-generationally. Grandkid can play with their grandparent, and that a caregiver relief. Silicone happens to be the closest thing to human skin, so that also once they touch it's a beautiful thing. It's really good. Yeah, and I don't know if people know, but when we have that engagement with somebody, our body releases chemicals, serotonin, oxytocin, dopamine. The anticipation of opening a bucket is dopamine, and those chemicals actually do last for a couple days, even maybe 3. So when you reach somebody that has dementia, they're in there somewhere. They're in there somewhere, but you don't need language with Geri-Gadgets, and that just bridges that gap. So the third bucket that we currently have on the market is, and we are in the market, is a flower bucket. My mom's older brother was a florist, so we grew up in a flower shop in Los Angeles, pretty much. And these have 4 colorful flowers and 3 leaves and a vase. Now the leaves have no wire inside. Now I reinforce the vase so you can put the flowers through the cutouts. They're so durable. All this is great. So I love the fact that this is creative.
That's awesome.
And so the flowers are really loved by men and women, especially in the dementia space. I would say this is a fan favorite in that space, along with the fidget gadgets, and the shapes bucket with these are absolutely a favorite in the neurodivergent and in the multi-generational space. But everything is pretty much selling evenly, quite frankly. It's pretty nice.
That's awesome. So how long from when you were coming up with these ideas, what was the most challenging part? Was it the prototypes, trying to get them so that they really, every angle was safe? Because there's so many, I think, raising 3 kids, the toxic things that get into kids' mouths. There's so many things that are shipped overseas that is still not safe. I mean, to market your products, the little ones, I mean, it's so much safer.
I mean, they're really good for 3+. My standards were super, super high. But there are no standards for old people, by the way. But I think it's less safe for an older person with dementia than it is for a child. So my standards were super, super high. It was very hard to get prototypes or samples done because a pandemic was happening. I created these ideas in 2014 and I was still working in television. And so it'd be on and off and working on it, getting the patent, working on creating, ideating. I mean, from the beginning, when that worked with my mom, it was like, oh my God, I have to do this. It takes time. So I actually 3D sampled the first prototypes, not in silicone. And it was some weird mixed material because you can't 3D print silicone, not possible.
Interesting.
And the material, then I could find out what the flaws were and not flaws were. But I absolutely was set on medical grade silicone and would not compromise on that at all, because the material even I used for the samples had retained a smell,
Mm,
got dirty in a way that these are totally washable. There can't be bite marks on a medical grade silicone. The quality is super, super high. They're never going to fade. They're never going to wear out over time. I mean, a piece might get lost, but that's about it. And if a piece gets lost, you can still participate. It's not like a jigsaw puzzle where you can't.
nice. Yeah. Yeah,
So,
absolutely.
but then that was really hard. I mean, the patent takes what it takes. I have a really good patent attorney. But then finding the right manufacturer, the right partnership is also a challenge, but I have done that and I'm really happy. And I went to China to make sure everything was perfect. And yeah, and then we fine tuned everything. And I really believe that the product is just really great. I have ideas in the future too. So it's kind of really fun.
So when am I going to see you on Shark Tank? This should be
It's
on
so
Shark Tank. Have people said, and with
everybody said,
exceptions, maybe.
I know people that work on Shark Tank, and that would be a conflict of interest if I used any of my contacts. Yeah.
Okay, darn.
So I'm not, and I actually did apply in the very beginning, like what, a
Mhm.
year and a half ago, when I first got to market, and I thought, oh, the exposure would be great, but I never heard. So maybe 10,000 people applied. I would probably have to reapply. But at this point, I don't need the sharks to
Good for you.
invest. It really is not my best in my best interest. I love the publicity, but
Hmm.
I feel like I have enough momentum on my own that I'll get there without something like that owning, more than half my company or whatever they like for
Sure.
very little.
Absolutely. So I was just curious, because we're like similar contemporaries where, years ago when I got out of college, we didn't have social media and websites. That came right soon after. But I was just curious, what is your best? Well, the product speaks for itself, but getting the product out there for creatives, all my viewers and listeners, if they're coming out with something that, a lot of them are in the functional health realm, but I'm just curious as to how did this grow? Was it word of mouth? How did you hustle to?
Well, because I'm self-invested, I don't, and I still don't. I've never advertised. It is for people, getting through people like you, networking, going to events, as many as I can, and putting myself out there. And I have a really small team and I have a really small burn rate. Where I am at the point I am, I'm not even 2 years in the market and I'm really making headway. I'm distributed in Canada. I'm distributed with Ugeria. They're a beautiful company. I'm distributed in the UK with Raven Court, which is Fury and Sons, and they handle both the neurodivergent schools and the elder care market. And that's a recent acquisition. I'm in talks with, I have New Zealand waiting for product, Australia and China pending. It's really good. It's really good. I mean, especially since the US market is a little funny right now. So it's kind of nice to have
Mhm.
options too. And I'm really there to try and make a difference with as many people as humanly possible.
Absolutely. So if you could look at the big picture, like, would you diversify into other things, or you can't really talk about that right now? Or is this something, I mean, it's growing and it's amazing what you're doing. Are you just going to expand on these different types of gadgets at
Yeah,
this?
well, I do have a lot of different bucket ideas for ideation, a ton. So will it be able to expand that line? I do have future ideas for expanding further than that, but those I won't talk about yet. It's kind of really fun because I have found my purpose, because I have found my mission. It makes it easier just to go with it. And it's hard to be a new business. You really have to have the tenacity. You really have to have the passion and purpose. If I didn't have that, I don't think I would be doing it. But I so believe in it. And you also, when you're an entrepreneur, you have to be able to pivot to where the market goes and learn how to maneuver that. It's kind of working just by due diligence. I have Instagram, I have YouTube. So as a producer, I'm able to make some content a lot easier than some other people because I have that experience, and I do have a lot of people that I know and that I can ask favors for and rely on. I'm lucky that way. So that has been helpful. Yeah, the rest of it is like, I would love a sales team and money for more events and trade shows and things like that. But I'm trying to be choosy about the ones I can do and not do. But it's happening, and word of mouth is happening. It's so funny. I went to an event completely unrelated because I do journalism. I write for Green Living magazine with sustainability is really important to me. Obviously, this is a sustainable product, but I write about things like that. And I also had a little side hustle as a travel journalist too, because producing, I wanted a balance.
Mm-hmm.
Careers. It's so funny. I also spent 2 years during a writer's strike a long time ago for a consumer product goods company, so that I learned how to name things and what a benefit and an attribute was and how to do a tagline. And that's how I know my marketing materials are really good. My graphic artist is from that job from that many years ago. All of us are still really friends. It's crazy that worked out. But I think I lost my train of thought. I don't know. I don't know where I was going.
Oh, I love what you're speaking into. I mean, you are a true visionary. You also have to have that business smarts and sense and know when you need to pivot, right?
Yep. Okay, I'm going to tell you, I remember what I was going to say.
Yeah,
So
go for it.
I went to an event, and at the event, it was travel related actually. And I saw a couple people that I knew, and then they had little tables that did a little round table thing. And one location, a woman talked to me and she pitched her location, and I said, "Oh, I've never been there, whatever." And then she asked about what else you're doing, because a lot of people do have two careers when they're doing journalism. And I said, "Oh, I have a line of sensory products that are made out of medical grade silicone engagement kits for the neurodivergent and dementia." She's like, "I heard about these Geri-Gadgets." And this is I know, I was floored. I'm like, "Where did you
That's
hear
awesome.
no?" She goes, "I wish I could remember. If I remember, I'll send you an email." But because it was from a small town up north, in Northern California. So funny.
Wow. Wow. And so I'd love for you to also maybe share with us a little bit more about your writing, and your writing for, what is it, the Sustainable
Greenland.
Life? Yeah, that's awesome. So how did you get into that? How did you get?
I know. My history is a little funny. I mean, you're a little bit lucky. There's timing and luck with everything, and the networking is so important. So when I was at UCLA, I was an exchange student. I was an English major. I knew how to write. I had to write. Spent my junior year abroad, and I sat next to the producers of the Grammy Awards on the airplane. So that's how I interned in college during my senior year. I got into music variety television because of a little bit of timing and a lot of luck, and then interned. And I recommend interning for young people in the field that they're interested in. I really do. But then came a lot of music variety. I well over 1,000 hours of television in my back pocket that I've done. And it's been so much fun. And you really do but it is all consuming. You really do they're great experiences. I love every minute of it. I really do. But I also was feeling that I wanted to travel more and do that. And I have a niche called Luxe Labs. It's about the luxury hotel bathroom, because women definitely choose where we're traveling, and we care about the bathroom, the bed and the bathroom, and we make a lot of those decisions. So I happen to know Peter Greenberg, and I approached him about writing Lex Labs. He loved the idea. He gave me a column. I had a column with him for 5 or 6 years. I expanded to Lex Lodgings too. And then because I was a producer, I have yet another brand called Jaunt TV. And then I could do experiential travel. That led me to meeting this woman who was the editor of Modern Luxury, who then became the editor of Green Living magazine. So if they like your writing, they take you with them. And she knew I loved to do that. So beyond travel, it's turned into writing about sustainable things, such as robots that are doing recycling, the future of airplanes that are less pollutant. all sorts of things, even fast furniture and recycling fashion and all these kind of fun things. So it's really important. And I love that Geri-Gadgets fit into that sustainable mode here. It's really important not to create more waste. I think a lot of it is people don't really realize what we're doing to our planet. We're ingesting a lot of plastic.
Absolutely. I think the Gen Zs too get a bad rap, but they are so on top of what's going on. I think the Gen X versus the Gen Zs, like, are my contemporaries are very, our contemporaries, they just go on autopilot and they don't think about, all the plastic bags. In Pennsylvania, you still go to the supermarket, they have plastic bags. What it's doing to our oceans. I mean, just it's just another environment, another world. And I just love how you have so many different great things going on your plate. You are
Yeah,
truly, like I said, an entrepreneur, dabbling in so many things that you're passionate about. And we need more proactive people. And I think that's why I'm so passionate of being the messenger on this planet and
I love that.
getting
I mean,
story out.
there's simple things people can do. Like I don't use plastic bags. I use the silicone baggies that they sell at Trader Joe's or get them online. I stick to that. Though they're washable. They go in the dishwasher, they wash, and I have a little thing that air dries them too. Those do. I don't use water. I use water bottles. I don't use plastic bottles. I drink out of it, and here in California, they're a little more ahead of other places because we're very west. We care about our environment and our rules are high, so we don't have plastic bags that are not recyclable anymore in our stores. But I bring grocery bags that are recyclable that are reusable rather, to the grocery store, all the stores and stuff like that. So people can start with things as small as that, and that makes a big difference. Their water comes in cartons, water
Yeah.
comes in tins. We can recycle our tins.
Yeah. That's
Aluminum
great.
is way better than plastic. So if you have an option to have a choice, I'd rather buy olive oil in glass than olive oil in plastic. So I look for things like that make a big difference. It may be a little heavier, but you can recycle that glass. They do recycle that glass, but 7 or 8% of our products are recycled that can, which is really a sad number.
Yeah. And I'm just wondering, you mentioned you have a son in Australia. Are they pretty much on the curve of being more conscious of saving Mother Earth and recycling?
Well, I think so. I mean, I did go in the spring to Australia and I got to write about sustainable practices there. There's a lot of electric buses, there's a lot of green buildings. Their zero, emissions are less. The United States we emit the worst, even more than China, and we have a lot less people than China. And we're making more pollution. Not good. Not
So
good.
for people that are listening in, because you can be very overwhelmed. I know just starting to eat clean or just understanding the human body and how the plastics release toxins when the temperature sways and our estrogen levels are off balance or hormonal issues from all the plastics and what's going on, what we're inhaling and ingesting in the environment. I mean, we can't live in a bubble, but just like the top 3 tips, what can you give for someone that really wants to be more proactive?
Well, I mean, just like I said, drink out of a recycled water
Yeah.
bottle. Use recycled silicone baggies instead of baggies. Make sure you bring a recycled bag to the grocery store or use paper. Things like that. Choose metal, tin, aluminum over plastic. Choose glass over plastic. Those are things that people can start with. We
Hmm.
use bar soap. It's better than the plastic bottles of other soap. I mean, and it lasts longer. I still like plastic. I still like liquid soap. Can't say that I don't, but I do use very clean products. My daughter doesn't even have any makeup that's not organic.
Right. Because
A
our
lot of
skin's our
it's
largest organ. Yeah.
And it's about just paying attention to the ingredients. I don't have any processed food in my house. I'm not a godsend in terms of, I love sugar. I'm still going to have a candy, but it's the high fructose corn syrup that I'm not getting.
Hmm.
Whole ingredients are better for us than the fake ones. I won't drink fake sugar. That's what, and we don't, I know that we have an increase in autism. We don't necessarily know why, but I think it's because of our pollutants and what we're ingesting in terms of fake ingredients. So when we eat clean, which is just fresh fruit and vegetables, and even if we don't cook, we can still find them. Frozen vegetables are better than processed food with MSG and things like that in it. So I think that all helps. And eating healthy also helps dementia.
Yes. Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
and it's really not that hard. I think that what people think is that everything is so complicated. And when something seems complicated, they don't do it. But when you realize, oh gosh, it's so simple to change from a plastic to a glass or recycled bottle or paper, it's very simple. It's really not hard to adapt. And then you're starting to make a difference somewhere. You're not littering. Don't litter,
Mm-hmm.
things like that. But it's really easy. And try and buy wood. Fast furniture that doesn't last very long is not good either. Or buy something that's used out of great wood or recycled. There's some really cool things that are available now.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, there's teak, there's all different types of hemp is the new and latest craze. I met somebody who is a fellow equestrian of mine who actually her son has a huge facility that they work with third world countries. They work with people in some of the tribes in Nevada where they're actually creating this whole complex of hemp buildings that's sustainable. It's there's so many great, positive around that. So yeah, it's amazing just looking around what our planet, Mother Earth, has that we can use with herbs. Such a huge, that could be another topic where I could have you back on because we're so passionate about it.
I'm very passionate about that because our planet matters.
Yeah,
Otherwise, it's not going to be here.
yeah, absolutely.
That's why I think little things are really big things. I don't, just like engagement is such a huge thing. I mean, people think, oh, well, they have dementia. They don't know any better. They're not going to remember. Talk in front of them like they're not there. They're there. They're in there somewhere. Just because they can't communicate the way they could, you don't know what they're absorbing or not. And your energy also matters. So when you come meet somebody with dementia, and they repeat themselves or don't remember that they've eaten or don't recognize you and you're distraught and yelling at them, you wouldn't do that if somebody had cancer. You'd understand that it's a disease. Now you could be, I was terribly upset that my mom had dementia, but I was determined to find a gentle way to reach her. And that's what you do. And just understand that little is big. Just even staring at something is engagement. And that for the later states, that's great. That's what you get. So you have to celebrate meeting someone where they are, whether they're autistic or have dementia or just stroke or anything. Like there's all sorts of things that can really help. And Geri-Gadgets was my answer to that. And they do make a huge difference. And again, it's not something that's disposable. It's going to last forever and can be passed down and
Mm-hmm.
used by the next person on all that stuff. So, you know.
That's great. No, I'm so excited, first of all, to meet you, that we have such similar passions. There's a lot of people out there like us, and that you are making changes. And how interesting is it how, years ago, did you ever think you'd be doing Geri-Gadgets? Probably not, right?
Definitely not. I'm an empath. I'm also super sensitive. And I used to, when I was young, I remember I was a brownie Girl Scout. And they took me to a convalescent hospital. And I wasn't mortified about the old people. I was mortified about the younger people that were stuck in wheelchairs or stuck in the hallway. And I got sick when I got home because I was so upset by it. So I was afraid to go into a hospital. That was the furthest thing that I avoided. I
Mm-hmm.
remember really avoiding that. And when my mom got dementia, of course you have children and you start to change. Okay, fine. I'm going to get over it. I'm going to get over my fear of, throwing up or whatever, like all
Well,
these things that I hated.
well, it's in you.
Honestly, nothing bothers me because if you reach somebody and you bring a little bit of happiness of life and those kinds of moments, it's amazing. It fills your heart in a way I never thought I'd be here. I didn't.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't. It just, it's a wonderful sense of accomplishment when you make somebody happy or engaged, even a little smile when they haven't been. It's life altering. I don't think there's anything that is missing from that. And I always thought, oh, I want to do something that's going to make a difference in my life. Entertainment, everybody needs entertainment. It's all been fun, like I said. But to do something that really can change somebody's trajectory in their life and make some happiness and quality of life where it felt so dismal before is a beautiful thing. So that's kind of my drug, if you will.
Yeah, that's great. No, and we all can, relate to what you're speaking into. Like my mother and my grandmother had strokes, and wouldn't that be awesome in the nursing homes? They would play bingo. It depends on, like you said, what's going on, if they can be able to do that. If not, like just the sensory of touching and feeling and the texture, and that's amazing.
Yeah, bingo. I mean, there's issues with sight or being able to, there's so many issues. So that excludes people. There's
Hmm.
no exclusion with Geri-Gadgets. It's really made for everybody. And you don't need language. So the fact that it's so uncomplicated and it's so accessible because you don't need language and you're only limited by your own creativity, which is kind of fun to let it go and let them take their time and do it. And actually even just the soothing, calming effects of medical grade silicone, which I call safe touch silicone, is so rewarding and actually really comforting. So it's amazing how, what I said, a little goes a long way. And I think that people get really, really overwhelmed. But when you keep it simple, Geri-Gadgets took a lot of innovation to be this simple. But when you do keep it that simple, it's really possible to make change. And it starts with us. It really does start with us. And it starts with an education of us. Because people don't know, like short-term memory is only 30 seconds. They don't know that that they're doing good. And a 15-minute visit with somebody in a care home is enough. And last days, that it is worth visiting it, even though they can't identify your name. And I used to go, "Hi, Mom, it's Angela, your daughter Angela." So you don't say, "Do you know who I am?" Or "What
Hmm.
did you?" You don't ask questions like that because with somebody that has some cognitive decline is put aback and don't even know how to answer that. That's how they get overwhelmed. So when you do, "Hi, Mom, it's your daughter Angela. How are you today?" Then it's a, "Yeah, okay." Or no language. Let's just engage. So bring out a bucket and look, I have some fun here. And that really, it's slow and it's deliberate and it's being patient because it does take time for somebody with cognitive decline to warm up. But autistic children that are, or ADHD that are running around, find solace in Geri-Gadget buckets and stuff like that. So it's really, I don't know. Actually, that part of it became even bigger and more than I ever expected. And it's really nice to be able to expand to more areas. And that's what pivoting is about.
Absolutely. So we'd love to know, how can people find you, and
Hmm.
what are your contact information so we could reach out to you?
You can always go to the website, gerigadgets.com, GERI, gadgets, GADGETS, with or without a dash. So I have with or without a dash. Technically, it's a dash in between Geri-Gadgets, but you can find the website that way. We have a YouTube channel. We have Instagram. I'm on Facebook and LinkedIn too, but you can find me at LinkedIn as an individual, as Angela Fairhurst. I'm very reachable. You can always send a note through the website. I'll get it. I don't want, I want to be as accessible as the product is, as long as I can. I will. I do. So you can find my distributors on the Where to Buy website. You can. I'm actually in the midst of expanding that and having a Shopify, so it becomes easier for people. So I'm working on all that to make it easier and cheaper, actually, than have markups from distributors where I have no control over that. It's much better that I do. Yeah, because it's important for as many people to be able to afford it too. Ultimately, I'd love for some foundation to do like a bomb socks, buy one, donate one. That would be awesome. haven't found that yet, but I want to. I really do. And I want to make the standards high for people with cognitive decline. Make a difference.
Well,
So
definitely,
find
yeah,
a website. Yeah.
definitely I will spread the word among fellow alumni from my schooling and practitioners. I know a handful of people in the nursing homes, as my mother and grandmother ended up in a nursing home after strokes. This is something that is just amazing what you're doing. And thank you for doing everything that you do. And I'm looking forward to seeing what is going to be rolling out next for you. I do ask all my guests, who is your superhero? Do you have one or a role model that you would look up to?
I don't know that I have one.
I can put everybody on the spot like, whoa, what?
I know, but because I've worked in television, it's definitely not a celebrity. It's just people that make a big difference. And so there are more than one of those. I'm just inspired by somebody that's inspired, that does want to make a difference. So I don't know. That's my drive. I can't say I can name any one superhero, but compassion matters, meaning matters, and sincerity, honest people that you can trust.
It was
Those are my.
That's yeah. I like that. Nobody have ever answered. Usually it's like, oh, Gandhi or, oh, they come up with some, and I just love that. Yeah. Just sparking that fire and energy in you from other people that have that similar passion in life, because we only have one life to live. And
That's
you
how
go for it, right? Go
yeah,
for it.
it's important to live in the now and treasure every day, because like I said, we had that. You lost your dad early. My kids lost their dad early. And that's, you'd never know, because that was completely unexpected in both cases. And so you do have to live without regret.
Good
When you
point.
make a mistake, okay, nobody's perfect. I have yet to meet somebody perfect, but it's about being apologetic for when you make a mistake. We don't have to say sorry for everything. We women do. Like, oh, I'm sorry, I opened the door.
Why do we say that? Why?
Really just being mindful and positive. And this is a really good statistic. If you're positive in your life, you can live 7.5 years longer. If you live in a negative space, it's the equivalent of smoking 12 cigarettes a day. I learned that at the Longevity Summit in June. I was floored
I'm
that a
going to remember.
positive attitude makes so big of a difference. So we can look at the cup half empty, or
Mhm.
we can choose to look at it half full. And I believe, in life, we find contentment, and then we live. There are times of happiness and times of sadness, because that's the way life is. So if we maneuver and navigate that way and know that we're content and that there's good times and bad times, we'll be okay.
Yeah, that's beautifully said. And also, don't sweat the small stuff, which I learned early in life. So true.
Yeah, I hear, like, if you don't think about it for more than 5 minutes, 5 years from now, then it's not worth it. But
Right?
I try not to futurize, but like it really is, let it go, let go.
Let go and never give up on your dreams and your passions and the drive. Don't ever let anybody ever say, "Oh, that's crazy."
Well,
Like because you just never. I was told, keep it dirty. Why would you want that as your podcast? Because I want to evoke curiosity and people to think, what is Keep It Dirty podcast about, instead of Keep It Green? So just
keep it
go with
dirty.
what you want.
Really, anything is possible, really. We're only limited. Again, it's like, I don't know, because I'm so tenacious, because I'm so positive in my energy, even though I've had traumatic things happen in my life. Everybody does. That is life. We lose people we don't want to lose. And things happen that we don't want to have happen, but they do. So it's about that acceptance and just remaining tenacious. And the only thing that gets in our way is us. So I don't worry about what everybody else is doing. I say to compare is to despair. But I'm really me, just living my best life, trying to make a difference and control what I have control over, and let it go when we don't. I don't get mad in traffic. It just is what it is. Turn
No
on a good,
way.
turn on a podcast. I can't control any of that. Things like that. I don't waste time with that. And I don't waste time in the woulda, shoulda, couldas either. Can't change anything in the past except for your perspective on it. That's it.
Love it. You have to come out with a book of positivity, like what Louise Hay with all her affirmations, like all of these great little, you know.
Yeah, I love Mel Robbins for that. I love Jim Quick for that. They all come up with really good things
True.
to say. I love those sayings.
Yeah. Well, wow, this was such a pleasure, Angela. And thank you for taking time out of your day to be on my show. And for everybody, my viewers, my listeners, please just when you have an opportunity, if you can rate, review, and subscribe. And remember to get out there, ground with Mother Earth, get those shoes off, ground with Mother Earth, and always keep it dirty. Thanks again.
Thank